Happy Sabbath day, my friends. Today is Saturday, February the 1st. We are just off of Key West, Florida, right here on Wisteria Island. Got a bunch of coral shells for a beach, but we're making do the very best that we can. Got some cannons being shot off one of the tours in the background. It's a beautiful day to rest and relax, to do no work, to obey the law. Today, I just want to hit a couple of highlights of the law. What was given to us from God Himself to Moses. How Jesus Christ, whom we follow, told us to follow the Lord and set the example on keeping the Sabbath. In Exodus chapter 20, we remember the Fourth Commandment. Today is the Sabbath day. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days will you work, and you will do all of your work in 6 days. But the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord. In it you shall not do any work, not you, nor your son, nor your daughter, or any of your servants, nor will you allow the cattle nor the stranger that is within your gates to do any work. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven, the earth, and the sea, and all that is in them, and He rested on the seventh day, and therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. If we go on and look in Leviticus chapter 23 tells us, "Speak to the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation, and you shall do no work on that day. It is the Sabbath of the Lord, no matter where you live." The prophet Ezekiel writes in chapter 20, starting in verse 19, the words of the Almighty. "I am the Lord your God. Walk in my statutes and my laws, and keep my judgments and do them. And hallow my Sabbaths. They shall be a sign between me and you, that you may know that I am the Lord your God." The Apostle Luke wrote down in chapter 4, "And when Jesus had come to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and just as was his custom, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up there to read." And that is when he read from the book of Isaiah. "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, and to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, and to set at liberty them that are bruised. To preach the acceptable year of the Lord." Praise God Almighty, for His kingdom is coming. And he closed the book, and he gave it to the minister. You know, it was Christ's custom to go into the synagogue on the Sabbath day. He served the Lord on that day of rest. You know, it's a day for us to be at peace, to be at rest, to take it easy, to keep focused on the Lord the best way that we know how. Reading His Word, prayer, maybe a walk in the woods, trip to the beach, someplace where you can be alone with the Lord. So many times I have heard that the Apostle Paul preached that we are set free from the law. Well, here in chapter 4, where he sets Christ as the high priest, it is for certain that he tells us to keep the law, and specifically the Sabbath day of rest. In Hebrews chapter 4, verse 4, "For he spoke in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise occasion. And God did rest the seventh day from all of his works. And in this place again, if they shall enter into the Lord's rest, seeing therefore that it remains that some must stay in the Lord's rest, and to whom it was first preached, they entered not into the Lord's rest because of their unbelief. And again, the Lord limited a certain day, saying to King David, Today, if you will hear his voice of the Lord, and you will soften your hearts to his words. For if Jesus had given them rest, then wouldn't he not afterwards have spoken of another day? Christ never mentioned a Sunday, a day of rest, or changing the day of rest. So therefore remain at rest to the people of God. For he that is entered into his rest, he also hath ceased from his own works, as God did from his. Paul is saying, remember the Sabbath day of rest, to keep it holy, to keep your belief. This is Sailing Dead Reckoning, saying peace out, stand strong, and be fearless.